The universe was large, cold, and full of secrets, but few secrets were as heavy as the one carried by the Aari. The Aari were an ancient, all-female alien race known across quiet corners of the galaxy for their peaceful minds, bright silver eyes, and gentle voices. They lived on a blue-white world called Aari, a planet covered in tall crystal forests and soft glowing seas. For thousands of years, their society lived in harmony. But time had turned against them. A strange and slow genetic failure had entered their population generations ago. At first, only a few were affected. But as centuries passed, more and more Aari were born weak, sick, or unable to produce healthy future generations. Their numbers dropped every century. Their scientists worked endlessly, but no cure was found. The Aari did not panic at first. They were calm thinkers, slow to fear. But when their newest generation showed the worst decline yet, they knew they had reached the edge of extinction. The Aari Council, the leadership group of wise elder women, gathered inside the Crystal Hall, a tall, shimmering building grown naturally from the ground. The hall glowed softly from within, lighting every face in pale silver. The mood inside was heavy. Elder Sirael, one of the most respected scientists of their world, stood at the center. Her hair fell like white silk behind her back. Her voice was soft but steady as she said, "We have tried all our own knowledge. We have searched our history, our DNA records, and our old sciences. We need help from outside our world." The council listened quietly. Asking another species for help was not shameful in their culture, but it was rare. The Aari had always believed that every species should solve its own problems, unless absolutely necessary. Now, absolutely necessary had arrived. Another elder asked, "From whom can we ask? Many species fear us. Others avoid us. They think we hide too much," Sirael replied. "There is one world that does not fear the unknown. A world that learns fast, adapts fast, survives anything. A world called Earth." The council whispered among themselves. Earth, the planet of humans. A young species by galactic standards, but famous for surviving every kind of trouble, disease, war, harsh environments, and even internal conflict. Humans were unpredictable, emotional, and full of strange habits. But they were strong. Their biology was strong too. Their genetic variety was enormous, and their willingness to help was known in a few corners of the galaxy. After many discussions, debates, and long, careful thought, the council agreed. They would send a peaceful delegation to Earth, not to take anything, but to ask for cooperation. They needed human scientific talent and genetic insight, not reproduction, not forced mixing, but a joint scientific project where both sides agreed to strict safety rules. The Aari respected consent deeply. It was their highest law. 3 weeks later, a long silver ship shaped like a crescent moon left Aari and entered the star roads. It traveled silently through the deep black space, passing old satellites, drifting rocks, and faint nebula clouds. On board were 6 Aari envoys, including Sirael. They were nervous, but hopeful. This mission might save their people, or fail completely. The journey took several days in their fast star drive. When they finally saw Earth from orbit, they were surprised. Many species described Earth as noisy, chaotic, or too active. But from above, the planet looked peaceful. Blue oceans, green continents, swirling white clouds, a small jewel full of life. The ship sent a message to Earth's space station, asking for peaceful contact. The humans were shocked at first. Earth had seen alien visitors before in its recent history, but it was still rare. After short communication, humans invited the Aari to land at the United Nations Space Research Port in Geneva. When the ship landed, hundreds of humans gathered around the landing site. Scientists, diplomats, linguists, security guards, and curious observers filled the wide landing field. Cameras hovered in the air. Reporters whispered excitedly, As the ship opened, a soft silver light flowed out. Then, the Aari envoys walked down the ramp. They were tall, elegant, and their silver eyes reflected the sunlight. They moved quietly, peacefully, their hands showing an open gesture of friendship, palms forward, fingers slightly spread. The humans stared in amazement. Some had seen aliens before, but none had seen the Aari. Their presence felt calming, almost like a gentle breeze or soft music. A human diplomat named Ambassador Lena Reyes stepped forward. She was calm, warm, and brave, chosen specially for her ability to communicate across cultures. She bowed slightly and said, "Welcome to Earth. We greet you as friends." Sirael bowed back. "We come in peace. Thank you for allowing us to stand on your soil." The official meeting moved into a large conference room. Human scientists from different countries sat around a long white table. The Aari envoys sat across from them, their thin silver robes glowing faintly. Everyone waited for Sirael to speak. She stood slowly and said, "We come to request help. Our species faces a deep genetic decline. We believe humanity can assist us. Your biology is strong, flexible, and full of solutions we do not understand. We ask for a joint project, ethical, carefully controlled, and built on mutual agreement. We ask not for your bodies, but for your knowledge." The words surprised many humans. They expected a political request, or a trade offer, or technology sharing, but asking for help with a species-wide medical crisis was unexpected and serious. A human geneticist, Dr. Mara Vance, raised her hand. She was young, skilled, and known for her honesty. "We want to help," she said, "but we must understand clearly. What exactly do you need from us?" Sirael answered. "We need your guidance in understanding how to repair our damaged genes. Our scientists have reached their limits. We know of your success in solving difficult genetic diseases. We believe your creativity may guide us where our methods failed." Another Aari added, "No harm will come to any human. We follow strict ethical laws. We only ask for cooperation, shared research, and open discussion." The room grew quiet. Humans exchanged glances. This was not a small request. It was a request that touched life, identity, and survival. But humanity had a long history of stepping forward when needed. Ambassador Reyes finally said, "We will discuss this as one world. We will not make choices alone, but we hear your plea, and we do not turn away from those in need." Later that evening, the United Nations held an emergency meeting. Governments debated, scientists analyzed the situation, and ethicists discussed the possible consequences. Some nations feared the unknown. Others felt excited about the scientific challenge. Many simply felt compassion. The Aari were not dangerous. They were desperate. After hours of debate, humanity made a decision that surprised even the Aari. Earth would help. They would form a new team called the Earth-Aari Xenogenetic Alliance, a research group combining the smartest minds from both species. Their goal: find a solution that was safe, moral, and effective. When the humans told the Aari their answer, Sirael's calm face softened with relief. "Thank you," she whispered. "You have given us hope." The humans felt a quiet pride. Humanity was often judged harshly by the galaxy, too emotional, too chaotic, too unpredictable. But today, they stood tall. Today, humanity showed the universe something powerful: compassion combined with courage. As night fell on Geneva, human and Aari scientists walked together along the illuminated pathways of the spaceport. They discussed genetics, culture, and the future. They talked not as two worlds, but as partners. Nobody knew whether the project would succeed. Nobody knew what dangers or discoveries waited ahead. But for the first time in centuries, the Aari felt a spark of hope, and humanity, always reaching forward, stepped into a new chapter of the galaxy. The next morning, after the historic meeting in Geneva, the city buzzed with excitement. News channels around the world broadcast updates every hour. Commentators argued, scientists speculated, and citizens wondered what the future would bring. But inside the United Nations Science Wing, a quiet seriousness filled the air. The real work was about to begin. The Aari delegation arrived early, walking gracefully through the glass corridors. Their silver robes shimmered under the bright lights, and their expressions were calm but focused. They understood that every minute mattered. Their species was running out of time. Dr. Mara Vance stood near the entrance, holding a stack of tablets and notes. She was nervous, but also curious. She had spent the night reading everything she could about the Aari, what little information existed. Most of it came from old galactic archives and scattered diplomatic reports. The Aari were mysterious, reserved, and highly intelligent. But they rarely shared deep knowledge about their biology or history. As Sirael approached, Mara offered a polite smile. "Good morning. I hope you rested well." "Mara." Sirael returned a soft nod. "Your hospitality is kind." We rested peacefully. Behind Sirael stood the other Aari. Lirael, a quiet data specialist. Naira, a cultural historian. And two younger researchers whose names Mara had not fully memorized yet. All of them carried small, crystal-like devices that seemed to glow from within. Ambassador Lena Reyes soon joined them, holding a digital pad filled with agreements and documents. She had spent hours reviewing interspecies cooperation laws to ensure nothing was rushed or unclear. "Before we begin research," Lena said gently, "we must finalize ethics, rules, and responsibilities. Our world requires clear agreements, especially in matters involving life." Sirael folded her hands respectfully. "We understand. The Aari also value ethics. We follow a principle called Lunara, which demands protection of all living beings, especially those who choose to help us." With that, they all entered a large conference room. The walls were covered in screens showing DNA structures, galaxy maps, and scientific diagrams. A long table stretched across the center, half filled with humans, half with Aari. Mara stood at the front. "Welcome to the first official session of the Earth-Aari Xenogenetic Alliance." The room grew quiet. Every person, human and alien, listened closely. Mara tapped her tablet, and a hologram appeared above the table, 2 strands of DNA, one human and one Aari, rotating gently side by side. "This is where we begin," Mara said. "To understand your problem, we need to understand your genetic structure. But before we examine anything, we must agree on rules." Ambassador Reyes stepped forward, reading from her pad. "Earth proposes the following requirements. No testing will involve real embryos or living organisms without full consent and safety checks. All experiments will begin with simulations only. No genetic mixing unless both species agree and it is proven necessary and safe. Research must remain transparent. No hidden processes, from either side. Both Earth and Aari must approve every step." When she finished, she looked at Sirael carefully. "Do these terms seem acceptable?" Sirael closed her silver eyes for a moment, thinking deeply. Among the Aari, silence was never considered rude. It was a sign of respect. A moment to think clearly. After a quiet minute, she replied, "We accept these rules. We thank you for your clarity. Our goal is survival, not risk. We desire cooperation, not control." The human scientists relaxed slightly. "Good." This was a strong start, but the next challenge came quickly. A human biologist named Dr. Kenji Sato raised his hand. "We need full access to your genetic records. Without understanding your complete DNA, we cannot help." The Aari exchanged quick glances. This was a sensitive matter. Their genetic history was considered sacred. Few outside their species had ever seen it. Naira, the cultural historian, spoke softly. "Our people have always protected our genome data. It holds our memories, our past, and our spiritual identity. But we know we must share it now. We will allow access under strict conditions." Mara nodded. "We can create encrypted systems. Only authorized team members will see the data." This eased their concerns a little. Next came the most surprising moment of the day. When the Aari uploaded their genetic files to the shared lab system, the room filled with bright blue light as complex patterns unfolded in the hologram. Human scientists leaned forward in fascination. Aari DNA looked nothing like human DNA. It formed swirling loops, rather than ladder-like structures. Instead of pairs of bases, the Aari seemed to use trifold clusters that shifted color depending on energy flow. It was stunning, beautiful, even. Dr. Sato whispered, "This is extraordinary." Mara felt her breath catch. No wonder they struggled. Their genetics use a system we've never seen before. Sirael explained, "Our DNA is linked to biocrystal energy. It allows healing, long lifespans, and stable emotional balance, but it also means that once our energy pathways break, they are hard to repair." The challenge suddenly looked far larger than anyone expected. The team spent hours studying the patterns. They discovered breaks in key regions, places where the Aari DNA should glow but instead looked dim and fractured. These breaks caused weak immune systems and declining fertility among the Aari. Sirael sighed softly as she looked at the hologram. "This dim region represents the heart of our problem. It grows worse every generation." Mara stepped closer. "I think humans can help. Our immune system adapts to anything. Our DNA can mutate fast to survive. If we can find a safe way to introduce adaptive mechanisms into your damaged areas through simulations, not real life, we may find a cure." The Aari listened with growing hope. But suddenly, an unexpected issue arose. A translator device emitted a loud beep, and some words Mara used were interpreted incorrectly into Aari language. The device translated "gene adaptation trial" as "breeding experiment," which caused the Aari researchers to stiffen in alarm. A few humans also looked confused and uncomfortable. Mara quickly shook her head. No, that is a translation mistake. We do not mean reproduction. We mean simulated gene repair." Ambassador Reyes quickly adjusted the device settings. "This is why clear communication is important." Sirael relaxed again. "We trust you. Let us correct misunderstandings as they appear." The moment passed, but it taught everyone an important lesson. Every word mattered. As the day progressed, the team divided into smaller groups and began running simulation tests. The first simulation compared Aari DNA with strong human immune markers. The room watched as the holographic strands connected and immediately broke apart. "It's like mixing water and oil," Dr. Sato muttered. The second simulation used human genetic repair enzymes. The strands glowed brighter, but the repair was temporary. The third simulation involved energy-based healing models inspired by Aari biology. The results were better. The broken regions held together a bit longer, but still not enough. Hours passed. The sun outside set behind the Alps, painting the sky orange and violet. The room lights dimmed slightly, switching to evening mode. Yet no one wanted to leave. The Aari worked tirelessly, their calm focus never wavering. The humans worked just as hard, their determination burning brighter with each challenge. Finally, late at night, Dr. Mara made a suggestion that changed everything. "What if," she said slowly, "instead of repairing the broken area directly, we create a new stabilizing layer around it? Something flexible, something human-like, a biological shield that holds the fragile parts in place." Sirael's eyes widened. A support structure? Like a protective frame," Nayera added. "It could prevent further decay, buying us time to strengthen the damaged regions later." Mara nodded. "Exactly. And this method is safe. It involves no reproduction, no risky mixing, only simulated stabilizing proteins." The humans looked at their screens. The Aari looked at each other. Then Sirael spoke softly. "Let us try." The simulation began. Two glowing strands, Aari and the human-designed stabilizer, slowly intertwined. At first, the structure flickered. Then, it grew brighter. The broken region shimmered, then held steady. Everyone leaned forward. The damaged DNA stayed stable. 1 minute passed, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. Finally, Mara whispered. This could work. Siriel placed a hand gently on the table, her expression full of emotion the humans rarely saw. You may have given us our first real hope in centuries. The room erupted in soft cheers, relieved sighs, and emotional smiles. No shouting, no loud celebration, just a quiet, shared joy. They had taken their first step. Humanity and the Aari had begun to understand each other. They had faced misunderstandings, cultural differences, and scientific challenges. But together, they found a spark of possibility, and tomorrow, that spark would grow. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the glass walls of the United Nations Science Wing in Geneva. Outside, the city moved as usual: cars, bicycles, and people rushing through busy streets. Inside, a different kind of life thrived. A team of humans and Aari worked together in a large, high-tech laboratory, surrounded by glowing holographic displays and soft humming machinery. Dr. Mara Vance adjusted her glasses as she scanned the data flowing across the main screen. The first simulation of the stabilizing layer had succeeded, but it was only a beginning. We have a foundation, she told Siriel, who stood beside her, silver eyes focused and calm. Now we need to test its real potential, still in simulation. Of course, Siriel nodded. We must see if this stabilizer can remain stable when exposed to energy fluctuations, environmental changes, and the natural aging process of Aari DNA. Only then can we consider moving forward. The laboratory was quiet, except for the soft hum of machines. Human scientists adjusted the holographic interfaces while Aari researchers studied the energy signatures emitted by their DNA. Everything moved in careful precision. No one rushed. Mistakes could be disastrous, even in simulation. Mara tapped her tablet, sending new commands to the system. The holographic DNA strands shimmered, rotating and twisting in intricate patterns. The stabilizing layer wrapped around the fragile sections, glowing a soft blue as it held the broken regions steady. Initial results look promising, Mara said. The structure is holding for longer periods than we expected. But we need extended tests. Siriel watched closely. If this works over long periods, it could provide our species time to find permanent genetic solutions. For hours, the team ran simulations. Every few minutes, results flashed across the screens. The humans suggested small adjustments. The Aari offered insights based on their knowledge of energy flows. And together, they improved the stabilizer's design. The synergy was remarkable. Neither side could have achieved these results alone. During a break, Mara walked with Siriel along the quiet observation corridor. Mara glanced at the silver-haired alien beside her and said, "You know, your species' DNA is beautiful. It's not just functional. It's like art." Siriel tilted her head slightly, as if considering the thought. Our people have always believed that life is a balance of science and beauty. Perhaps humans are discovering this now. Mara smiled. We're learning fast. Back in the lab, Dr. Kenji, Sato, and Naira worked on energy simulations. The stabilizer is holding, Kenji said. But what happens when we simulate environmental stress? Heat? Cold? Or radiation? Naira's eyes flickered as she adjusted the parameters. We must test this. The universe is harsh. If this stabilizer cannot withstand extremes, it will fail when applied to real DNA, in real conditions. The simulations began again, this time exposing the holographic DNA to extreme environmental factors. At first, the stabilizer flickered, the broken regions showing strain. But slowly, with small adjustments, it strengthened. The human-designed proteins and the Aari energy patterns worked together, each compensating for weaknesses in the other. Look at that, Naira whispered. The broken region remains intact despite the changes. This is the first time our species has survived these conditions in simulation. The human team cheered quietly. It's holding, Mara exclaimed. We might have something. Siriel placed a hand gently on the holographic display, her silver fingers hovering over the glowing DNA. This could be the bridge our people need. But simulations alone are not enough. We must prepare for the next phase: controlled biological trials, with synthetic tissues, of course. Ambassador Lena Reyes entered the lab at that moment. "We've reviewed safety protocols for the next phase," she said. "Every trial will remain synthetic. No living Aari will be involved until we are completely sure it is safe. And no step will happen without approval from both teams." The Aari nodded, understanding the caution. Their species had faced extinction, but they valued life, ethics, and consent above all else. Over the next few days, the team prepared synthetic Aari tissue in a secure lab chamber. These tissues were replicas created from 3D bioprinting and energy simulations. They mimicked the properties of real Aari cells, but posed no risk to living beings. The human scientists had designed advanced monitoring tools to track every change, every stress signal, and every reaction. Mara stood beside Sirael as the first trial began. "All systems ready," she said, her voice steady but tinged with excitement. "We will observe how the stabilizer interacts with the synthetic cells." The holographic DNA appeared again, this time inside the tissue simulation chamber. Slowly, the stabilizer wrapped around the broken regions, glowing faintly. The synthetic cells responded, expanding and contracting as if they were alive. Every scientist in the room held their breath. Minutes passed. The stabilizer held strong. The synthetic cells did not fail. The energy signatures of the Aari DNA flowed smoothly through the simulation. "It was a success," Mara whispered to Sirael. "This is it. The first step toward real repair." Sirael's silver eyes glimmered with emotion. "I have waited centuries for hope like this. Our people may survive because of your guidance and courage." Even the younger Aari researchers, who had never seen their species' DNA behave this way, looked amazed. "It is beautiful," one of them said softly. "Stable, yet alive." Encouraged by the success, the team ran several more trials, each with slight modifications to stress levels and stabilizer strength. Each attempt succeeded, building confidence. Slowly, they began discussing the possibility of applying the stabilizer to living cells, but only when they were absolutely certain it was safe. During a late-night discussion, Dr. Mara Vance said, "This is more than science. We are creating a bridge between species. We are learning how humans and Aari can work together to save life itself." Sirael nodded, her voice gentle. "And we are learning patience, trust, and cooperation. These lessons are as important as the science." As the days passed, the team's bond grew. Humans learned the quiet grace and wisdom of the Aari. The Aari learned the creativity, determination, and flexibility of humans. Together, they developed new techniques that neither species could have imagined alone. One day, Naira, the Aari cultural historian, made a suggestion. "What if we simulate not just environmental stress, but aging? If the stabilizer can withstand centuries of cellular activity, it may become a permanent solution." Mara's eyes lit up. "Yes, that's brilliant. We can accelerate the simulation to mimic long-term cellular cycles." The team worked tirelessly, creating simulations that ran decades in minutes. Every test showed that the stabilizer remained strong, protecting fragile regions and even allowing minor self-repair in some sections. "This is remarkable," Sirael whispered. "We are witnessing the first true cross-synthesis attempt between our species' knowledge. Humans and Aari, together, solving what neither could alone." By the end of the week, the simulation results were clear. The stabilizer was reliable, strong, and adaptable. It could hold broken DNA regions together, survive environmental stress, and endure accelerated aging. The team celebrated quietly, knowing that while the real challenge lay ahead, they had achieved something extraordinary. Mara looked around the lab. "We may not have a full cure yet," she said, "but we have a foundation, a platform. And from here, we can continue building." Sirael's voice was calm but filled with hope. "You have given our people life. not just in theory, but in possibility. Humanity's resilience, creativity, and courage, these traits, they inspire us. Perhaps this is what the universe calls hope in action. The humans felt pride, but also humility. Humanity was often underestimated by older, more advanced civilizations. Yet here, on this small blue planet, humans and Aari had joined forces to tackle what had seemed impossible. As night fell over Geneva, the lab lights glowed softly. The holographic DNA spiraled gently above the table, the stabilizer glowing faintly blue. Outside, the city continued its life, but inside the lab, something extraordinary had begun. The first true cross-synthesis attempt between two species, a step toward survival, understanding, and interstellar friendship. No one knew what the future would bring. There would be setbacks, challenges, and new mysteries to solve. But for the first time in centuries, the Aari had hope, and humanity, as always, showed the galaxy why it was capable of greatness. Tomorrow, the team would prepare for the next phase. But tonight, they allowed themselves to celebrate quietly. They had achieved something remarkable, and the universe seemed just a little bit brighter because of it. And in that quiet laboratory, humans and Aari stood together, ready to take the next step toward a shared future. The first golden rays of morning sunlight reflected off the glass walls of the Geneva laboratory. Inside, the Earth-Aari Xenogenetic Alliance team prepared for the day's work. After weeks of simulations, synthetic trials, and careful adjustments, they were approaching a milestone. The first controlled application of the stabilizer to real Aari cells, grown in secure biochambers. Dr. Mara Vance adjusted the controls on the holographic interface. She felt the weight of responsibility pressing lightly on her shoulders, but also an unshakable sense of excitement. They were on the verge of something historic. Sirael, standing nearby, watched quietly. "We are ready," she said softly. Her silver eyes reflected the gentle glow of the screens. "Our people may finally see hope not just in theory, but in life itself." Ambassador Lena Reyes stepped forward. "Remember, every step must be carefully monitored. Nothing is permanent until we are certain it is safe. Patience is as important as courage." The team entered the secure biochamber, a room of soft blue lights and humming machinery. Inside, rows of transparent containers held real Aari cells, cultured from samples provided by volunteer researchers. These cells were fragile, sensitive to energy fluctuations, and unlike anything humans had worked with before. Mara tapped a sequence on her tablet. "Activating stabilizer integration. All systems ready." The holographic DNA strands appeared above the containers. The stabilizer, now refined through countless simulations, wrapped around the damaged regions of the cells. Slowly, energy began to flow through the DNA, steadying the broken areas. The containers glowed softly as the cells reacted, showing vitality and stability. Dr. Kenji Sato, standing beside Mara, whispered, "It's holding. The cells are adapting to the stabilizer perfectly." Sirael stepped closer, her fingers hovering over the glowing holograms. This is the first time living Aari cells have been repaired without risk. Humanity's knowledge, your methods, they have given us life." And even the younger Aari researchers, who had only seen simulations before, looked awed. "It is beautiful," one of them said softly. "Our cells, they are whole again, thanks to humans." Mara smiled. "Your biology is incredible. It adapts, even under stress. That's why this stabilizer works. It supports what is already strong within you, instead of replacing it." For hours, the team ran tests, each one confirming the results. The cells remained stable under environmental simulations, energy fluctuations, and accelerated aging cycles. The stabilizer did exactly what it was designed to do: protect fragile DNA and give it time to heal naturally. By late afternoon, the team gathered to discuss the next steps. Sirael spoke first. "This stabilizer is more than a scientific achievement. It is a bridge between our species. It proves that together, humans and Aari can achieve what neither could alone. Mara nodded. It's also a symbol. Humanity often faces doubt, even from the galaxy. But today, we've proven that creativity, patience, and cooperation can solve even the most complex problems. Ambassador Reyes added, "We must remember that this is only the beginning. Full-scale application will require careful planning, ongoing observation, and ethical oversight. But the foundation is strong." The team spent the evening documenting the results, writing detailed reports, and preparing presentations for the United Nations and the Aari Council back on Aari. Every success was recorded, every observation noted, ensuring transparency and collaboration. Later that night, Mara walked along the quiet corridors with Sirael. Outside, the city lights of Geneva twinkled like stars. Inside, the lab hummed softly with the energy of progress. "You know," Mara said, "I never imagined I would work with an alien species so closely. And yet, it feels natural, like we were always meant to learn from each other." Sirael tilted her head slightly, considering the thought. "Life has a way of teaching lessons through necessity. Your species' resilience, your willingness to adapt, it is extraordinary. Humans are a rare combination of courage and compassion." Mara smiled. "And your species, the Aari, are wise, patient, and strong in ways we can barely understand. Together, we've done something remarkable." The next morning, a global broadcast shared the news. Humanity and the Aari had achieved the first successful cross-species stabilizer for genetic repair. Across the world, people cheered. Scientists celebrated, students marveled, and ordinary citizens felt a new sense of pride in what humans could accomplish. Meanwhile, on Aari, the Aari Council watched the reports with quiet emotion. Elder Sirael presented the data, explaining every detail of the collaboration, the trials, and the success. The council members were amazed. For centuries, their species had struggled with a slow, unavoidable decline. Now, with humanity's help, hope returned. One elder spoke softly. "These humans, they are unlike any species we have met. They are resilient, compassionate, and creative. Perhaps the universe underestimated them." Sirael nodded. "They have taught us the power of cooperation. Not just science, but trust, ethics, respect. Our people owe them gratitude beyond words." Back on Earth, Mara and her team continued refining the stabilizer. They explored ways to accelerate healing, improve long-term stability, and ensure the method was safe for large-scale application. The Aari provided insight into energy pathways, crystal-based DNA interactions, and cellular resilience that humans could never have discovered alone. Together, they created a system that could monitor, support, and stabilize Aari genetics anywhere in the galaxy. It was a triumph of teamwork, science, and mutual respect. Months passed, and the first volunteer generation of Aari cells integrated with the stabilizer fully. Their energy flowed smoothly, and they displayed strength far beyond the previous generation. The results were undeniable. Extinction had been avoided. Humanity had played a pivotal role in saving another intelligent species. The news spread across the galaxy. Other civilizations took notice. Some were curious, some skeptical, but many were inspired. Humans were proving, once again, that despite being young and unpredictable, they could rise to challenges older civilizations had failed to solve. On Aari, celebrations were held. Not loud festivals or chaos, but quiet ceremonies of gratitude, reflection, and hope. Elder Sirael addressed her people. "Today, we honor our survival. Today, we honor humanity, who reached across the stars to help us. And today, we embrace a future where our species are partners, teachers, and friends. Let this be the beginning of a shared journey." Back on Earth, Mara stood at the laboratory window, looking out over the city. Lena Reyes joined her. "You did it," Lena said. "Together, we've shown the universe what humans can do." Mara smiled. "No. We did it. Humans. Aari. Together. That's what matters." In the weeks that followed, Earth and Aari established ongoing collaborations, joint research programs, cultural exchanges, and educational initiatives. Young Aari scholars visited Earth to learn human science and philosophy. Human students traveled to Aari to study the Aari ways of energy and ethics. The two species began a bond that would last generations. Sirael and Mara often walked together, discussing science, life, and the possibilities of the future. "Our people have hope," Sirael said, looking up at the stars, "and it is because of you, humanity." Mara laughed softly. "Maybe it's because of both of us. We taught each other something new. Maybe that's the real discovery." As the sun set over Geneva one last time before the Aari returned home, the city seemed to glow with possibility. Across the galaxy, stars shimmered, and two species once separated by distance, biology, and culture stood together, ready to face the future. The story of humanity's courage, creativity, and compassion had reached beyond their world. The story of the Aari's resilience, wisdom, and patience had become intertwined with it, and together, they had written the first chapter of a new era, a shared future, where life, knowledge, and hope were stronger than fear, isolation, or despair. In that quiet laboratory, as machines hummed and holograms glowed, humanity and the Aari knew one thing clearly. They had proven that even in the vast, uncertain universe, cooperation and respect could create miracles. And in this shared miracle, a future was born, one not written by fate alone, but by choice, courage, and the enduring spirit of two remarkable species.